Welcome to the Weekly Spark from Ignite Youth Group out of Eastgate Baptist Church, where we try to keep Christianity on fire in a world that tries to snuff it out. Hello there, gentlemen. Welcome to this week's Weekly Spark. Let's get right into it. We're continuing our series in Proverbs and our sub-series in the things that God hates. Verse 16 in Proverbs 6. Excuse me. These 6 things doth the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, someone who is proud and arrogant, someone who is puffed up, someone who is full of themselves. A lying tongue, and we also covered number 6, false witness, speaketh lies in 1:2. Someone who is not telling the truth, someone who has even said that they were going to tell the truth, but lied. We talked about that. Hands that shed innocent blood. We talked about that last week and how God hates murder, and we took it a step further of how in Matthew 5, when how Jesus compares someone who is angry with his brother without a cause, he compares it to committing murder in your heart. So today we are talking about number 4, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. God hates someone with a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. What does this mean? This means someone who is planning on doing evil, someone who is plotting to do evil, plotting to murder or to steal, someone who is enjoying evil and they are planning to do evil. You got so many times throughout the Old and New Testament of someone who they're putting together a plan that is evil. You have Saul, you have the children of Israel in the time of the judges, you have Joseph's brothers, you have all these people in the Old and New Testament who are planning on doing evil and their heart was wanting them to do evil. And that is something that God hates. And God hates iniquity. God hates sin. We can downplay our sin a lot and say, oh, it's not so bad. But God hates it. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. The Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence his soul hateth. God hates iniquity. God hates sin. Even the smallest sin, God hates. We can look at, and this thing that a heart that devises wicked imaginations isn't just for big, egregious sins. It can be for, even the little sins. And this phrase, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, is very similar to this phrase in Genesis 6. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that the imaginations of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and agreed him at his heart. This is the state of the world before the flood. The state of the world before the flood was that man was so evil that God says it repented that he made man and grieved him at his heart. God was so grieved at the sin of mankind that he washed them all out, all except Noah and his family, because Noah was righteous. God hates a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. Not word, image, thoughts. Imaginations, thoughts. Someone who is consistently thinking about doing evil. You want to get back at someone has hurt you, so you want to get back at someone, so you plan revenge. That is evil. You're planning a way to bully someone. There's so many different things, or you're planning something to do something to make yourself look good and look someone else look bad. That's evil. That's pride. There are so many different things, so many different situations where our thoughts can be evil in the sight of God. That's where we need to organize our thoughts. We need to guard our heart. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. We talked about how, it's like a river or tributary, that what comes out of your life comes from the heart. It flows from what's in your heart. And we need to guard our heart. We also need to, and I talked about that a few weeks ago, we also need to guard our thoughts. We need to keep our thought life pure. Keep it holy. Making sure we're not lusting, making sure we're not, thinking angry thoughts, making sure we're not thinking bitter thoughts, making sure we're not thinking prideful thoughts. Because whatever way your thoughts of life is, that is where you're going to go. It's going to direct you. What are you thinking about up here? What are you what are you spending your time thinking about? Is it, lusting? Is it anger? Or is it something that if Jesus were to be right next to you and you were to tell him his thoughts, would you be embarrassed? A lot of times people would say, if Jesus was right by me and he knew what I was thinking, I'd be embarrassed. Well, Jesus knows what you're thinking already. And you need to control your thoughts. You can control your thoughts. 2 Corinthians 10. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. The responsibility is on you to make sure that your thoughts align with God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. Meaning you're going to take every thought you're thinking, is it obedient to Christ? Is it obedient to what God has wanted me to do? You see, when we control what we think about. A lot of people like to talk about, I just can't help thinking like that. You can. You control what you think about. And you need to make sure that what you're thinking about is godly. Bring it into captivity. If it's not an obedient thought, get rid of it. If it's an obedient thought, keep it. But be obedient to Christ in your thought life. When you're obedient to Christ in your thought life, that is when you'll start seeing victory. And your heart will not be devising wicked imaginations because you've already stopped it by thinking about it at the thought. I heard one preacher say you have 4 seconds to get a thought out of your life before it starts to get a hold on you. 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't seem like a long time, and it's not. So you need to be diligent and disciplined to making sure that your thoughts are pure, that they are godly. My challenge to you, gentlemen, this week is protect your thought life. Control what you think about. And just see how different your life is when that happens. Gentlemen, control your thought life. I pray this is a blessing to you and have a good week.